What is up, guys? It's Mega giving you yet another deck for Link Evolution. Today, guys, I'm going to do another deck request, and that is Odd Eyes. Yeah, that is a Odd Eyes deck. This deck's, of course, my opinion. At the end of the day, it's completely cool if you guys disagree with any of the cards that are shown in this video. This is one deck request, guys, that I've made. I've made quite a few, so I'm going to do it in any random order that obviously that I like that I've done. Basically, what's on my list of decks I've made. I'm just going to go down it. So yeah, eventually I'll get around to making them. This deck has got a lot of limitations, similar to True King Dino, because of cards such as Chronograph Sorcerer is limited to 1, Supreme King Dragon Dark Voom is limited to 1, and Pendulum Call limited to 1. So yeah, a lot of limitations, especially because all those cards are near enough searches. Or two of them are Chronoism, but it's still a good card nevertheless. But with that, guys, if you're struggling to make this deck or any deck shown so far, check out the card hub. Not only tell you if a card's in this game or not, tell you where to find it, such as campaign, challenge mode, or card pack. That does include the new cards via the expansion. Also, if you're sure, and also that's in the description down below with my Twitch. We do try and shoot as best I can, playing this game and also other games when I have the time. And with that, guys, let's get to the video. Starting us off, guys, 2 copies of Ash Blossom. What a good hand trap. If you're playing specimens from the deck, sends a card from the deck, or adds a card from the deck, Ash Blossom just shuts it down. Really great hand trap. We aren't running hand traps ourselves. Oh, sorry, we aren't running cards like Caught by the Grave ourselves, but I decided to put in Ash Blossom to just slow the opponent down, really. 2 copies of Effect Veiler. I decided to run Effect Veiler for multiple reasons, actually, for once in my goddamn life. Effect Veiler is a very good hand trap. It's like the monster version of Infinite Impertinence. Shut down your opponent's monster effects, which are actually like one of the most powerful things there is in the game. And also, because you can run it with Needle Fiber, you can special summon Effect Veiler. You might think, why do you want to special summon Effect Veiler? Because you can use it in conjunction with all your level 7s to go into a to go to Bowload Savage Dragon, or to go into Clear Wing Supreme King Dragon, basically. So yeah, you can actually use Effect Veiler for tuning. Really comes in handy. 1 copy of Odd Eyes Wizard. You can't really play its first ability because we don't have an Odd Eyes Dragon, so you can't special summon it. But if this card is on the field and is destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your deck or graveyards. That really comes in handy. And then you get to add a Spiral Flame Strike from your deck to your hand. So you could just keep this bad boy on the field and let your opponent destroy it, so you get a free monster and search a card. Or you can just use it for, like I say, synchro plays, Xyz plays, and just go on from there from extending your combo, since it is a Odd Eyes card. Pendulum, guys, we've got 3 copies of Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. Because it has the word pendulum, it's searchable with Duelist Alliance. It's one of the best one of the best pendulums in the deck because of its scale 8. And also its ability is, if an Odd Eyes card you control is destroyed by battle or by card effects, especially when an Odd Eyes monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So comes in really good in conjunction with Sky Iris, because you can pop your own monster special summon. If your opponent destroys one of your monsters you have on the field, or run your Odd Eyes monster out in the field, you get special another monster that way. Really comes in handy. 1 copy of Chronograph Sorcerer. It's limited to 1, guys. If I was to run 3 and take out some of the other cards I've added, which we'll get to later. If this card is if a card you control is destroyed by a battle or by a card effect, special summon this bad boy. If your opponent tries to destroy your Pendulum Scale, special summon this bad boy. Destroy one of your monsters by battle, special summon this bad boy. Really comes in handy. And also its Pendulum Scale, its Pendulum Scale is level 8, and its Pendulum ability is you can destroy this card, special summon a Time Gazer Magician from your deck, and which really comes in handy. But because it's a level 6, you can use it in conjunction with Odd Eyes Synchron, and you're able to go into stuff like Bowl Sword Savage Dragon. So that's really comes in handy as well. 1 copy of Dragon Caller Magician. Dragon Caller is actually very good because it gets around a limitation of one of our Link monsters, the Heretic Seal, because that can only use Dragon type monsters, and Dragon Caller Magician can make itself become a Dragon monster, and its pendulum ability is you can target 1 face-up monster on the field and it becomes a dragon. So that really comes in handy to get around the limitation, and because it's a scale 2, it really comes in handy with its pendulum scale. And because it's level 7 as well, easy to go into for rank 7 players and synchro players. Harmonizing Magician, not a bad pendulum ability really, because All monsters you control will gain 100 attack for each face-up Magician Pendulum monster in your extra deck. Because it's a tuner, it's searchable with Halofibrax, which is actually good. I can't believe I actually used its TCG name. And then you can go into higher link plays from that. That's the only reason you're really going to do it. Or if this card is Pendulum Summon from your hand, you get to special summon a Magician Pendulum monster from your deck to go into even higher link plays. Noble Dragon Magician. If you have like an Odd Eyes monster in the field, you can reduce its level by 3. Special summon this bad boy from your hand. Then you're able to go into like a level 7 synchro play, which obviously is Meteor Blast Dragon. Meteor Blast can then target one of your level 7 cards, basically in the Pendulum scale. Special summon it, go into a rank 7 play, or because of Noble Dragon Magician. Or you can just decrease your Odd Eyes level by 3 to go special summon this bad boy, and then go into a link play. So there's many things you can do, and because it's a tuner, you could link away into Needle Fiber and then just go into a higher play then. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, you only need 2, again, because it's got Pendulum, searchable Duelist Alliance. If this card attacks opponent's monster by battle, attacks opponent's monster by battle, you can double the battle damage. It's only by a monster. If it attacks directly, that effect doesn't trigger. And its pendulum ability is, during the end phase, you can destroy this card and add a pendulum monster with 1500 attack or more from your deck to your hand. So it's just out of Persona Dragon, which is actually nice. You're not going to use its other ability, you're basically just going to destroy it to search out a card, or with Skyrus to summon a card. You're just going to do stuff like that, you're not really going to do other stuff. One copy of Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. It's actually got a decent onboard effect, guys, where you can target a face-up monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. You can negate its effect, which kind of come in useful, but the main reason you use this card, again, level 5 is great with Odd Eyes Synchron to go into Meteor Blast, and his pendulum ability is not all that great because it activates during the end phase, but should your opponent basically target a Odd Eyes Pendulum monster you control, during the end phase you can special summon this card from the Pendulum scale and then replace it with another card in the Pendulum scale from your extra deck. You're not really going to do that all too well, but its Pendulum scale is level 1, and also it's great fodder for Skyrus. One copy of Performer Power Celestial Magician. This is actually one of the best cards in the deck, guys. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can use one of the following effects depending on what cards are on the field. If you have a fusion, this card can attack directly. If you have a synchro, your opponent can activate monster effects. If you have an Exceeds, this card's attack points become 3000 basically. And if you have a Pendulum monster during the end phase, you get to search a Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, which really comes in handy. And its Pendulum ability is when a face-up fusion, synchro, or Exceeds monster would be destroyed by battle by a card effect, you can special summon it back to the field and then destroy Celestial Magician from your Pendulum scale. Really comes in handy, really, and also because it's scale 8, has actually got a very good pendulum scale. One copy of Performer Pal Odd Eyes is over. Because it has the word Performer Pal in its name, it's great to go into Gatling Ghoul with this bad boy, and also because it's got Odd Eyes, it's searchable with Skyrus, and also you can special summon it with the effect of Arc Dragon. Because it's a level 8, you're not really going to go to much synchro plays with this or Exceeders. You're really just going to use it to go into your fusion plays or link plays. So if your Pendulum monster battles an opponent's monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, so you get a free spell summon, which really comes in handy. But during your main phase, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from an extra deck using monsters you control or cards in your Pendulum zone, which comes in handy if you want to go into stuff like Gatling Ghoul. And its Pendulum ability is basically you can fusion summon a dragon fusion monster from the extra deck. So you're not really going to use its Pendulum ability all too well, but being able to fusion summon, going to Gatling Ghoul for burn damage really comes in handy. And Odd Eye Synchron is basically the synchro version of Odd Eyes is over. You can't really play its ability when it's normal summoned, but this bad boy target a monster in the Pendulum zone, special summon it, and if you do, immediately synchro summon using that card. So you can go into, if you use Chronograph, you're able to go into stuff like Bowl Sword, Savage Dragon, or or Supreme King Clearwing, or if you have cards such as the Persona Dragon, you're able to go into Meteor Blast Dragon and just extend your plays from there. One copy of Performer Pal Pendulum Sorcerer. I really use this card because it has the word pendulum in its name, so it's searchable Duelist Alliance, lets you go into an extra play. And I don't really use its ability all too well. But if you do use it, but with it, you can target up to 2 cards you control, such as, say you've got a dead Dragon Shrine or stuff like that. You can destroy them, and if you do, you get to add pendulum, or you get to add Perform Power monsters from your deck to your hand. So this can search out the Dissolver and the Odd-Eye Synchron, which is actually kind of a useful effect. One copy of Supreme King Dragon Darkworm, or Darkvoom if you say its Japanese name. If this card is normal special summoned, you get to add 1 copy of a Supreme King Gate to your hand. So if this card searches out Supreme King Gate 0, comes in handy. And if this card is in your graveyard and you control no monsters, you can special summon this bad boy from your graveyard. This is why this card is limited to 1 in my opinion, because if you could run 3, this deck would be so much stronger, because we're running cards like Foolish Burial and Dragon Shrine to send Darkvoom to the grave for that free summon, and then search out the 0, because then we have a free level 7 monster to go into Xyz plays or go into Link plays with. It really comes in handy. And speaking of 0, you're not really going to use its monster effect or its pendulum scale all too well, or its pendulum ability all too well, but basically it's a level 7 guys that's searchable with Darkvoom, so it's easy to go into Xyz plays with this. It meets the criteria of being a dark card, so you can go into a lot of your synchro plays, and it still is 0, so you can go into some good high plays with this card. Time Gazer guys is searchable with Chronograph, so you can get a free monster if you send Chronograph Sorcerer to the grave, and also you must control no monsters to activate this effect. So to activate this card, that's where this card really comes, really like is a letdown really, but you can get around that limitation with Chronograph, so you can do that. I believe. Don't hold me to that. But it's just a great card to go into, because if your opponent, cannot activate traps if your pendulum monster would attack. That's its pendulum ability, so it really comes in handy. Xion K Magician. This card is basically to go into Raging, to pop Raging's ability. So you're not really going to use its normal ability all too well, but it's a level 7, so it's great to go into Xyz plays with. It's got good scales, and also you can target 1 face-up Xyz monster you control. This is its pendulum ability. Make it gain a level equal to its rank. So if you have a absolute on the field or something, you can just make it have a rank 7. Make it become a level 7, and then Xyz into Raging Dragon. So then you can use Raging Dragon's ability. 2 copies of Dragon Shrine. The reason I run this card, like I said guys, is to get Darkvoom in the grave for the free summon and then search out the 0. So any reason kind of running this. 2 copies of Duelist Alliance. You can search out anything with the word pendulum in its name, or a pendulum spell or trap. So you can search Pendulum Call if you want, Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum, because that's the word pendulum, or just Odd Eyes Dragon, or Performer Power Pendulum Sorcerer. There's many targets for Duelist Alliance, and it's just a free card. But you have to have a card in the pendulum zone in order to activate this card. Another Foolish Burial is basically running like 3 Dragon Shrines just to send Darkvoom to the grave. You can send other cards to the graveyard, because we do have the odd cards like Odd Eyes Absolute or Odd Eyes Wizard that can resurrect cards from the graveyard. I decided to have 2 copies of Ignite Reload guys, because again, Chronograph is limited to 1, otherwise you'd run 3, and Darkvoom is limited to 1, otherwise you'd run 3. So I was short on cards. I decided to run Ignite Reload because just to fix your hand basically. So if you have cards such as like 2 scale 8s, nothing else, or scale 8 or scale 6, you can't really do much. So it's like, right, you can send them back to the deck, draw cards equal to the cards that you sent back +1. So you're kind of getting a +1 from this effect. So it's not that terrible actually. Yes, that's the same reason I decided to run Ignite Reload, and it's a quick play, but you can just take this out and put something else if you really want. one copy of Odd-Eyes Fusion. You can, if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you control none, you can use Odd-Eyes monsters in your extra deck as the cost instead of using monsters from your hand or field. So that really comes in handy. And yeah, it's just going to Vortex really, just to shut down your opponent really. Pendulum Core, limited to 1 guard as far as I'd run an extra one and take out Terraforming. You can discard 1 card, add up to 2 Magician Pendulum monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, really comes in handy. And until the end of your opponent's next turn, Magician Pendulum cards cannot be destroyed by card effects in the Pendulum Zone. However, because if you're running Odd-Eyes cards in the Pendulum Zone, they are they are able to be destroyed, so please bear that in mind. 2 copies of Sky Iris. This is like this field spell for this deck. Magician, Performer Pal and Odd-Eyes cards in your Pendulum Zone cannot be targeted by card effects. It gives them a lot of protection, especially from like MST and Twin Twisters, because it means your opponent cannot pop your Pendulum Scale. You can destroy 1 face-up card you control, add an Odd-Eyes card from your deck to hand, and if you have an Arc Pendulum Dragon in your Pendulum Zone, that really comes in handy because you can just special summon a monster if the card you destroyed was an Odd-Eyes card. 3 copies of Spiral Flame Strike, searchable with Wizard Dragon. You can basically, if you have an Odd-Eyes card on the field, you can destroy 1 card your opponent controls, comes in handy. Or the thing that I like to do is add a level 7 Odd-Eyes monster from our deck to our hand, because then you can just go into a higher, like you just go for an extra, like got an extra monster on board and go for more damage, or you can go for like an Xyz play. So I usually run this card. 1 copy of Terraforming. Decided to run Terraforming, guys, because again, we're short and it searches out Sky Iris to protect our cards. 2 copies of Infinite Impertinence. I decided to run this again because we were short on cards, and I was like, this is actually not a bad card, guys, if you're going first or going second, because if you're going if you're going first, you've got your board, you can just set it and have a free basic effect Veiler on board. And also if your opponent's going first, you can just play it from your hand, because if you have no cards in your hand, you can play this card, and it's basically the trap version of effect Veiler. You can never go wrong too wrong with this card. And that's it for the deck, guys. Going on to the extra deck, we're running 1 copy of Odd-Eyes Vortex Dragon. If this bad boy is special summoned, you can target 1 face-up attack mode monster your opponent controls, return it to the deck, or return it to the hand, sorry. And when a spell trap or monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can shuffle 1 face-up pendulum monster in your extra deck and negate the effect. So that's really comes in handy. Really good omni-negate. The Form Power Gatling Ghoul, you use this basically with Dissolver. If this card is fusion summoned, you inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent for each card on the field, so that's really good for burn damage. If this card was fusion summoned using a Pendulum monster's material, you can destroy 1 card your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict battle damage. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. So it's really great for burn damage, Gatling Ghoul. 1 copy of Starving Venom, Venomy, Lethal Dose Dragon. 3 dark pendulum monsters, very easy to go into with this, especially with Dissolver, because Dissolver itself counts as a dark pendulum monster. Each time a card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to place a Venomy counter on this card for each sent card. All monsters on the field except dark dragons, so we can get around that limitation very easily. Lose 200 attack for each counter, and during your main phase you can negate all face-up monsters on the field your opponent currently controls. So that really comes in handy because it doesn't target, it doesn't target, so your opponent say this card cannot be targeted by card effects. He just gets around that limitation, so it really comes in handy. And if this card is destroyed, you can basically place it back. So if this card is destroyed, you can just place it in the Pendulum Zone, and it has a scale of 1. Really comes in handy. 1 copy of Bowload Savage Dragon. Basically another omni-negate. If this bad boy is synchro summoned, you can target 1 link monster you control. It gains a counter for each of that monster's link ratings, and also it gains half that monster's attack. Should your opponent activate a card or an effect, you get to remove 1 counter, and if you do, negate the card. And it's so easy to go into this card, guys, because obviously with Effect Veiler, with one of your level 7s, or you could do Yeah, I think that's the only way to actually go in this card, because I don't think you can use Harmonizer Magician, but it's so good to go into this, or you could use it with like Persona and Noble Dragon Magician if you want. Odd Eyes Meteor Blast. When this card is special summoned, you can target one card in your pendulum zone, special summon it. Meteor Blast cannot attack that turn, so you could just special summon a card that's in your pendulum zone, go into an easy Link play or an Xyz play if it's a level 7, and you can just go off from there. Supreme King Dragon Clearwing, actually very easy to go into, guys. It's a pendulum, no, sorry, it's a tuner plus 1 dark pendulum monster, so it's actually easy to go into this card. If this card is synchro summoned, you can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. So it really just nukes, like, it's basically a Regeki on summon, really comes in handy. And then before damage calculation, if this card powers an opponent's monster, you can destroy the opponent's monster and inflict damage equal to that monster's attack, which comes in handy. So yeah, actually, so you can just negate the attack, pop the monster, and then destroy it. So if your opponent has cards like, if this card is destroyed by battle, you can just negate, you can get around that effect. One copy of Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. This is actually one of the cards you want to go into like turn 1, then link it away, because it has a couple of effects. When this card declares an attack, when any monster declares an attack, you can attach one Xyz material, negate the effect, and special summon a Odd Eyes monster from your hand or graveyard. So really great for cards in the graveyard. And if this Xyz summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions basically. So if you link away with Absolute Dragon, it's sent to the graveyard. You get around that effect. So you can go into stuff like Heretic Seal, so you get a kind of like a disruption with that. And you could just go into Vortex with this, so you've got a disruption and an omni-negate just by sending Absolute to the graveyard. Comes in handy. One Dark Anthem Dragon. 2 level 7s is actually a really good card, guys. It has a quick effect where you can target one card, you detach one Xyz material, target one card your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half, and this card gains it. So it's kind of like Dark Rebellion, but instead of using 2 of the units, it only needs 1, and it can use its effect during either player's turn. And kind of like with the other, with the Starvey Venom, if it's destroyed, you can place in the pendulum zone, and it has a pendulum scale of 10. So it really comes in handy. One copy of Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. If this card is in, if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place it in the pendulum scale if you want to. And it has a few effects if it's Xyz summoned using an Xyz monster, rather using Shionsei Magician. It can attack twice, and you can attach one Xyz material from it to destroy all cards your opponent controls, and it gains 200 attack for each card destroyed. So that really comes in handy. So if you want to go for like a big OTK, you can just use Absolute, give it a level, and just go into Raging Dragon if you're going second. And its pendulum scale is, if you control no cards in your pendulum zone, you can place a pendulum monster in the other pendulum zone basically. So it really comes in handy. Links, we are running Bowl Sword, helps with the OTKs. Helps with OTKs. If this bad boy attacks a monster, you can cut that monster attack in half, add it to Bowl Sword. If this, you can target one face-up card on the field, or face-up attack mode monster. Change it to defense, Bowl Sword can attack twice in that turn, and because it's a quick effect, you can even use it during your opponent's turn as well. One copy of Crystalline Needlefire, or Halifabrax. If this card is link summoned, you get to target a tuner base in your grave, special summon it. I think actually you can't play this with Harmonizer Magician, so forget what I said earlier with that. With this card, guys, you can easily go into Effect Veiler to then go into level 8 Synchro plays, or if you really want, you could just go into like Noble Magician or something to go into a higher link play basically. One copy of Guard Dragon MP. The reason why we're using this is because it gets like a link monster on board, so then you can basically like send. So then if you go into Savage, it has basically more attack points. Yeah, well, gains 500 more attack points, and it gets a negate on board basically. And it actually kind of has a couple of effects. But if you have two like cards pointing to the same zone, you can special summon a dragon from your hand or deck. So that really comes in handy, especially because we're running quite a few dragons as well. And one copy of Heretic Sealed of the Heavenly Spheres. This is that negate or that disruption I was on about with Vortex. So during your opponent's turn, if this card is in the extra monster card zone, which it will be, you contribute one card in your hand or field, return one face-up card your opponent has and send it back to the hand basically. And if you tributed this card, you can target one dragon monster. You can special one dragon monster in your hand or deck, but make its attack point, attack and defense 0. But you could go into Dart of Room. Then Dart of Room will search out the gate 0. I mean, its effect isn't negated. It's just if it's just attack and defense comes 0. One copy of IP Masquerena. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can immediately perform a link summon. So you could use this to go into Bulbasaur if you have the cards, or you can go into Triple Burst Dragon, where this bad boy can deal piercing damage, and during the damage step, when a spell, trap or monster is activated, you can negate the activation, so it comes in handy. And also you could tribute this card to target a link 2 or lower monster in the grave and special summon it if you really want to. Then you can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand. So you could just bring back stuff like IP Masquerena or Needle Fiber to then special summon Dart of Room from your hand, so you can get around using your normal summon. Then you can just go on from there from another play. And that's it for the deck, guys. I hope this deck comes in handy. Odd Eyes is actually a very fun deck. I actually enjoyed this one. Stay tuned for the replays. Replays to see how this deck runs. And I'll see you again for another deck request. So wherever you are in the world, guys, stay healthy, stay safe. Take care. Goodbye.